Hello there, younglings, and today we're going to be talking professionalism. Work experience. So welcome to my channel, where you get some weird girl called Harley giving you her opinion and her advice and general perspective on things. And today, I want to talk to you about work experience. If you don't know already, I'm going to university to study law. And whenever you're applying for law in your personal statement, people generally tell you that it's a good idea to get some work experience. And it is. To the field to see if that's something that you would actually want to do. Because I know for me, I didn't have the option of doing a law A-level. Not a lot of sixth forms offer that, I don't think. I only know one person who studied it at A-level, and they still did work experience just to boost their personal statement, giving you something relevant to talk about in the field, something to fill in that empty space. So this isn't the same kind of work experience that you did like in year 9 when you had 2 weeks to go off and work somewhere, where it was kind of less structured. You didn't really have many responsibilities. I mean, I didn't really have many responsibilities. I decided to work as a receptionist at Samaritan's headquarters, which was where my brother worked at the time, and I kind of just stayed on the front desk and made tannoy announcements. I helped with the post, and it was a great exposure to kind of a little bit of what professional life would be like, having to wake up and get to work for 9 till 5, Monday to Friday. But it wasn't in law, and I didn't do much actual work that might be expected of somebody in that position. I just kind of sat at a desk. Literally sat at a desk. It wasn't that heavy. It was fun, definitely, but I didn't have much responsibility. But in year 12, I managed to get some work experience in an actual law firm at Freshfields Brockhouse Deringo, which is one of the Magic 5 law firms in the UK. That's what they're called in the UK. We have 5, and they're called something else in the US. I don't remember. 5 top law firms for corporate law, commercial law, mergers, acquisitions, and tax, which are, I think, some of the most profitable areas of law that there are. And I managed to get work experience with them for a week through a scheme, SEO Scholars, which helped disadvantaged youth from different backgrounds, me, to get experience in a relative field that they're interested in and to help them with the unit application and stuff like that. And I think for law, it's definitely a good idea, or for any subject, to get some work experience in that relevant field, if not to give you an idea of the office environment and what you'd be doing after you study, which is the whole point of taking a degree. Most of us forget that, you take a degree to get a job, or at least that's the plan. But it's kind of just become normality to go to university, that they just go to go. But really, you should be looking at the long term of what you're hoping to gain from this degree. If not a job, if it's just knowledge for your life, then just know that. But I know for me, if I'm going into law, I'm looking at the different options, the different paths that can open up for me afterwards. And having the work experience will show me if I want to work in an office and be a solicitor, or if I want to be in chambers. I haven't managed to get work experience in the chambers, but we're still trying. And if not for that, to then just give you an idea of what area of law you're interested in. I never would have thought I'd be interested in tax law, but more on that later. So in year 12, I managed to have my work experience with Freshfields, and they had the best food. I was vegan then as well, I think. So for lunch, they gave us a £5 on like a lunch card, that a £5 limit that we could spend. And they had like sweet potato jacket potatoes and baked beans, and I don't even care if that was healthy or not. I had that every day, and it was so good. It was so good. And the law firm was very, very amazing looking. It was amazing. They had a gym, apparently. They had like little beds for people to sleep in. That's just because nobody gets to go home. But we won't talk about that. But there we didn't really do much law. We did get to run our own mock case where we interviewed the witnesses, and we had to put together the research ourselves and then present that to a client. Because a solicitor, what they did at that firm, they wouldn't tell clients what to do, but they would advise them on the path that they would take if they were in their situation. And if your lawyer is telling you that, then you'd probably do it. We had the chance to do our own mock case. It was me with a group of other people. They gave us CV talks. They gave us loads of advice. They were quite friendly. We had like a buddy, and we also we shared an office with an associate. The buddies were closer to our age, and I actually managed to reach out to one of my buddies when I was doing my personal statement and asked her for advice on it. So that offered connections for even after the work experience was done. And it was very fun and very informative, much more than my first one, but it didn't really give me a great view on what I would be doing day to day if I was a solicitor, because we had our own little timetable with like special talks. It wasn't doing proper lawyer work, which is where my third work experience comes into. Now, I actually can't even tell you where I did it because I signed like a confidentiality. I just jiggled my thingy bobby. I can't even tell you where I did it because I signed like a confidentiality form, and yeah, they were like, best not mention any names, but I worked with tax lawyers, and I actually got the opportunity to work on actual cases for actual clients, or actually touch actual documents. It was very cool for me. It was amazing. And I never would have thought I'd be interested in tax law, but it was a completely different side of it that I had imagined. It still had lots of maths in it, but it was more of a human perspective as well. We got to talk to the actual client, have meetings with them and update them on what they wanted and go through the legalese with them. I had to make like a schedule of documents contained in a folder, and a schedule was basically like a contents page. So I had to go through and put it in order of date on what they had. These were like bonds and trusts forms. I learned what those were. The people in the office were so friendly, so willing to help. They gave me like advice for whenever I'm applying for law in the future, if I need help with that. They helped me with my LNAT. They were just generally lovely, and I loved the culture in that law firm. We found this out in my very first work experience with Freshfields, that every firm or every office environment has its own culture. They have their own atmosphere. And I will say, comparing the first one to the second law firm, the first one felt a lot more separated because everybody had their own office. Whereas in the second one, some people had their own office, but people were mainly in like an open floor space, not like cubicles, but like dividers between their desks, and everybody would just like talk to each other and be friendly and help each other. It felt more connected than the first one did. Then going on to my third law experience, which I managed to have at Kingsley Napley, I think I can say. Yeah, they didn't say, I couldn't say. And they were also in the city. All three of these are in the city. They were all like kind of like city law firms is where you'll find them. And I worked there in the immigration department, which again was a area of law I never really would have thought about. It's not really something that you study, and so everybody who goes into it from the start learns on the job. And the people there, when I say they were friendly, they'll just talk to you. I felt like I made friends, and I wanted to go back and work there the next week, but I couldn't. It was so lovely, and I managed to do lots of work there as well. I managed to help client with their visa applications. I learnt about the changes that the EU would have on applying for your passport in the future. I managed to go on a talk with some lawyers to business owners or employers about what this would mean for their rights. I didn't get to go to any client meetings. Mostly it was research and desk work, which is a complete contrast to the other two. It was a loud office. I managed to go to a staff meeting. Went a bit over my head because I didn't understand what they were talking about. It was mainly stuff that I couldn't contribute on. Having had all of these different experiences, I realized just how helpful having the law work experience was for me in seeing if that was a career that I truly wanted to pursue after university. To see the different areas of law, I've learned so much just being in a few places for a week each. And further than boosting my personal statement and giving me relevant experience that I can then put on my CV, because I have done work in a law firm. And if I wanted to start working in a law firm as like an admin assistant, I probably could, because I have had this experience in an office environment. And so if you're thinking about getting law work experience, I would definitely say try and go ahead with it. I know that they're hard to get. I'm still in the process, like I said, of looking at like chambers and local law courts around my area area to try and see if they would take me. But it's hard. If you can join schemes online, there are plenty of schemes that universities do with year 12 and year 13. I think maybe year 11 students, so around the age of 16 to 18, that they can help you get work experience. Then definitely check it out before it's too late, I would say. What's there to lose? Sorry if this video is a bit too long on me rambling about my work experience, but I hope that you liked it anyway. And thank you for watching my theoretical perspective, and I'll see you in my next video. Peace. I remember during my last work experience, there was some crazy tube delays, and there were crowds at the tube station. The doors were here, and the barriers to get into the tube station were here, and there were queues all the way back, all the way back. I thought I was gonna be late.